Wow, it feels like a year since I've last made a video. Terrible jokes aside, Happy New Year! Hope everyone had a great holiday season and I really hope you just enjoyed your break. I didn't, because I spent my holiday attempting to beat CUPHEAD without jumping. Yes, a challenge that seems quite impossible, so let's just get into the rules already. First, obviously, no jumping is allowed. Do not press the jump button. If I do accidentally press the jump button, I must restart the boss immediately. And that's it. Just do not jump. I can use any weapon, charm, or super I want, and that's pretty much it. So please enjoy. Also, please like and subscribe. This video will be the first of the great year of 2025 for Beaver Longface. Like all runs, we start on the root pack, and I'll put a little indicator in the top right when I start a boss to show the loadout that I'm using for said boss. For the first phase, we abuse the Mist Chalice invincibility roll in order to get through the dirt and hope to parry the worms whenever we can. Second phase, we use our super to gain an extra hit point and then just let the roundabout do all the work. The final phase was also really simple as I just used roundabout and crackshot to take him out first try. Getting all of the easy bosses out of the way early, we go to CUPHEAD next. This whole boss is just me running around using EXs genuinely in all three phases. It's just the same thing the whole time. Super free, first try. Onto a actually challenging boss, we have Ribby and Croaks. Mist Chalice came in handy here a lot again in order to roll through the fist attacks, which still proved to be quite the challenge, but if I couldn't roll through these, it would make it so much harder. We never really need to jump in the second phase, so that wasn't really an issue at all, and with an invincibility roll through the transition, we encounter our first problem. The lever. How am I going to jump and then parry to reach it when I can't jump? It's simple. We shoot a crackshot EX, parry that, turn around, and then parry the lever. See? Easy. As long as we have an EX card available and we don't waste it, then the run can continue. In the final phase, Bulls was ideal for us to get, but I found I never got it, which was stupid. Tigers is easily the worst to get because all it would take is one wrong roll and I just instantly get hit, which would fully throw off my game. Snakes wasn't too bad as we could do the same as Tigers, but if we get hit by accident, we can just stay on top of the platforms and keep rolling to stay out of danger. With lots of attempts, we do finally take down our first challenging boss though. Cagney time. And here, the crackshot goes crazy. For once in a Cagney attempt, we don't want the face attack because it's pretty much guarantees that we're going to get hit by it. And the rest of the first phase is honestly just simple. As long as we don't get that face attack, everything else is super easy to avoid. When the final phase starts, we use the same crackshot parry trick to avoid the vines and get to the platforms above. From there, as long as we duck whenever the projectiles come out, we can just damage tank through the vines and take them out with shocking ease. With Isle 1 down, I start feeling really optimistic. For Baroness, we get pretty lucky with our mini bosses, as the cupcake is super easy to dodge just by running around on the screen. Candy Corn was a little bit unlucky, but it still gives us the option to just roll through it, so honestly no complaints here. But the waffle was so simple. I just destroyed him easily with Crackshot. I love this weapon. Once the final phase starts, we use our extra heart from our super and just spam Crackshot, rolling through the heads whenever it's necessary, and believe it or not, that was my first try. This run's gonna be so easy. Beppy was an interesting boss to say the least. While he wasn't necessarily insanely hard, he showcased a lot of the problems that come with not being able to jump. As you see in the first phase, I have to roll through the dashes, which can be pretty tricky to time at times. In the second phase, we get to the actual difficult part of this boss, the train. Yes, the train makes this whole boss 10 times more difficult. Like, oh my god, why did they need to include this? If I was lucky enough or skilled enough to line it up, I could always do the crackshot EX parry trick to get on top of the train, then stay against the wall, roll through the passengers. And a lot of the time this worked, other times not so much. In the third phase, we really want to see the golden horse, as if we get the green one, things don't go so good. If we do get the golden horse, we can use the crackshot EX jump to get on top of the train just like last time. Whenever the second horse would come down, we would just damage tank through its attack no matter what it was, but it's normally fine if we do good in the first and second phase. Final phase is a different story. The winning attempt sees us using the spread shot, which was a nice change. When the phase starts, we unload onto the boss with all EXs and spray as much as we can. Eventually, when the train comes, we use it to damage boost us up onto the platforms, and then dash to the other platforms as we need to. Once the baseball kids come out, it's just drop down and pray you kill him before the train comes or the baseball kids hit you. Now, if that seemed hard, check this out. Grim Matchstick genuinely shouldn't even be possible. The whole boss is just these 3 layers of clouds constantly moving to the left, meaning that eventually they go off screen and just drop you into the void, causing you to get hit. Which is good because you can bounce right up to a new platform, but at the cost of a health point. This strategy just isn't sustainable. A strategy that is semi-sustainable is using the crackshot EX jump to just raise you up about a platform or so. It was never that good, but it was enough just to stall us until our next opportunity. The first phase was super inconsistent because while the clouds at the start of the fight always spawned in the same spot, every other cloud after this was completely random. So a lot of the fight was just RNG. Once we get to the second phase, the HP was just being melted away. But then I realized something. This is impossible. I spent hours trying this and failing this until I just realized the only rule in this challenge is to not jump. But there's a feature in this game that not a lot of people realize. If you just walk in a circle a bunch out here, the Jimmy will hop out and grant you 3 wishes, which will double your HP on 3 bosses. So with Miss Chalice, Genie wishes, and a lot of skill, it's insanely difficult, but it's possible to beat him. For all you people down in the comments right now telling me, oh, this is cheating, yes, I can see you. Go try this for yourself with the wishes and see how hard it still is. I promise, this is still insanely difficult. But now for the strategy. Grim Matchstick always starts with his I-beam attack, which we try and parry the end of it for a free card and some free height. Everything else after this was pure RNG though, so all we could do is just pray that we make it to the second phase with a decent amount of health. In phase 2, we stay at the top of the screen using EXs to keep us in the air as much as possible. In the final phase, we exclusively used Lobber because the crackshot would almost always get us killed by locking onto the fireballs. I don't even want to call this phase skill, it was just luck to get the right platforms and right fireball RNG. My best strategy was to overdamage on the second phase to weaken the third as much as possible to avoid the amount of time I had to spend here. But after that, the only thing that we could do was say it's time to make the dog moo. The next boss is Rumor Honeybottoms, but to the surprise of no one, it was so hard I decided to do some cleanup first before we go back to her. Werner Werman is the first boss on our list, and honestly, not too bad. Yes, the first phase does present some troubles, especially with the bomb attack, because it's a little bit tricky to roll through it, but it kind of is as simple as just getting lucky enough where he doesn't do that attack. Second phase presents challenge because the boss likes to flame spray the bottom of the screen, and I can't really get to the top of the screen. So instead we just spam all of our EXs, damage tank, and hope that he dies before he does too much damage to us. Final phase isn't too bad as long as you just pay attention to the hand in the back, and that's all there really is to it. Sally time. I don't know what you want me to say about this. Yeah, there's moments where you need to jump, but you can just roll right through it. For example, mouse attack, roll. Wave attack, roll. Homing umbrella in the final phase, roll. Anyway, GG's easy, first try, no rematch, thank you. Okay, now it's finally time to talk about Rumor Honeybottoms. You can imagine why this boss is so hard. The whole fight, the literal platforms that you are standing on are constantly getting dragged to the ground, which just destroys your health bar to the point where it's just unsustainable to even be on this boss for more than 30 seconds. Genie wishes are a necessity here. On top of that, this is a 3-phase boss, where the third phase, she just takes up the entire bottom of the screen. I tried everything on here, and it just felt impossible. I even resorted to watching other people's videos on doing the same run, and I came to 2 conclusions. One of these challenge runners decided it was impossible to beat this boss, and they just did it on simple mode. And the other used some crazy tech, insane RNG, and just sheer willpower to beat this. And I tried that. I tried to use the fancy dodge, rolling, air stalling, EX, dash, strat, and it was good, but it wasn't good enough for me. I tried over and over trying to get the best RNG, but it just felt so hopeless for me. I don't mind throwing myself at a boss for hours and hours and hours when I know it's my fault that I'm not beating the boss. But when it comes down to the B's RNG on platforms and attacks, it just wasn't for me. I ended up beating the boss in simple mode, and honestly, all I have to say for this is I'm sorry. But I hope you guys understand how impossible this felt for me, especially with the video's deadline closing in. And I've only ever seen or heard of one other person doing this before. I do plan on coming back and trying to beat it on regular mode, maybe in a short or something, so I do hope you guys understand. But hey, if you thought this video was done, you're so wrong. You still got 4 more bosses to do, and they all suck. Briny Beard is up next, and I kinda lied. This boss was super easy, go figure. The worst designed boss in CUPHEAD doesn't even require you to jump. I just kinda roll through it all, but now we have some real challenging bosses. Here comes the Phantom Express, baby. Roundabout carries heavily in the first phase. And whenever the pumpkin's trying to move my platform, I parry the other side of the platform so then it enters its cooldown phase where it doesn't get moved if it gets parried. Second phase is mostly the same, except I can't parry the bars, so we either destroy the pumpkins before they get to us, or we just let them fall on us. Third phase, we can luckily just stay behind the lightning, and as long as we don't kill the ghost in bad positions, we won't make the platform move at all, and we'll just be completely fine. Final phase though, this has potential for some crazy challenge. While the heart is closed, all we need to worry about is just rolling under the bone wheel, which isn't too unmanageable. But once the heart's ready to be parried, that's when we pull out the old cart, turn around, EX, dash, dash, parry method. Anyway, this was surprisingly easy, and I actually beat it first try, which was kind of crazy for me, and pretty impressive, if I do say so myself. Okay, this script is nearing 2,000 words, and the video is starting to feel like one of those long ones, so let's hurry this up a little bit. The obvious choices for the King Dice mini-bosses were Mr. Wheeze, Pip and Dot, and Pirouetta, because all of their attacks had an opportunity for me to just roll through them. And believe it or not, there was no challenge here. But, another believe it or not, the final phase actually had a challenge. I mean, all I had to do was just use the same EX jump trick I've used the whole run to get on top of the cards, but King Dice takes points wherever he can. Our final boss is the Devil, and man, was he actually rather difficult. On the first phase, if we get the clap attack early, it was just guaranteed for us to get hit because we had no way to avoid it. The only way to avoid it was with an EX jump. All of his other attacks weren't impossible to avoid, just super difficult, but we really wanted to see that spider attack as it was the easiest to avoid without jumping and we could deal consistent-ish damage. Second phase was baby mode. Like, honestly, they call this a challenge run. Oh my god, third phase was terrible. You need to take care of the henchmen because you won't be able to jump over any of their attacks, so you need to remove them as quick as you can. The bats are swooping down on you constantly, and again, you can't jump over them. There's falling poker chips from the sky that you can't avoid unless your platform just happens to be at a higher elevation and you dash to a different one, and I died here so many times, I'm so sad! Final phase was pretty easy though. Holy cow, what a challenge that was. And honestly, it was really nice to do a real Cuphead challenge again and not just a 300%. That being said, around about 300% coming soon, so look forward to that. And thank you all so much for watching. And if you enjoyed, just please go at least check if you are subscribed. And while you're down there, hit the like button too. Thank you all so much. Hope you had an amazing new year. And yeah, thanks. Bye.